Hey, what's up traders? Mike here with the watch list video for Monday, December 16th. And let me start with this. New members, please pause the video and read that. Good description of what our chat room is all about. Love the teamwork in there, by the way. And I always appreciate anyone who's posting setups that they see. I love that. All right, so the SPY, second day in a row that it closed below its open, but still, any way you slice it, we're hanging out near all-time highs. SOUN was on watch on Friday, had a really big move, couple calls in the room. The first one I put out right about there. Once it had proven how strong it was, right? Came back down, fives buy zone between that 8 and the 20. Right about there is the middle of fives buy zone. So somewhere around 15.57, and it went to 17.29 without really ever looking back. If you missed that entry, I also mentioned the 15s buy zone yellow line play right there. And it basically touched the yellow line. And even from there, over $1 move, right? On very little risk. So a couple of trades called out in SOUN, and then also AVGO. When I do the pre-market prep on Friday, things are a little slow here. Do the pre-market prep on Friday, and let me add extended hours on there. So right before the open, I go into if there's any stocks I would like to watch for a gap pullback play, right? And AVGO was the only one I said. I said AVGO is the only one interesting to me, and that is the great part is pre-market. So if you don't know, right here is where it opened. We're looking for a flush to that yellow line area. Look what it did. I mean, yellow line touch, and then it was off to the races. And so that would have been somewhere around 211.70 maybe, 211.50, either way. And then it was off to the races and went all the way to 228. I love that play. They don't set up that often, and it's not that often I point one out that I'm going to be bidding on at the open, but that was a good example. And reminder to everybody, I prefer something like an AVGO, a major company that had good earnings, to look for that setup, right? Then I do something that it looks like it might be a pre-market pump or something. It's an important element of that gap pullback play idea. So anyway, that's it. There's a few highlights from Friday. Let me go into what we're watching for Monday, and I'll just start with AVGO because it had this massive breakout. I believe it's sitting at all-time highs. Could certainly give some nice trades all next week. So that one's going to be on watch all next week. Marvell, sympathy play to that. Had this gap up, pulled all the way back, and now is above the high of that gap. That one also could be in play all week. Remember, we're day traders. We try to focus on in-play stocks. SOUN is certainly extended, right? Pretty far away from the moving averages, but also could be in play all week. It's had a massive move. It's certainly overdone, though. So I don't like it as much as some of these others. WKEY. Looks like it made a huge move. Well, okay, it did make a huge move, but if you were in chat on Friday, you know that it was halt. A lot of these little intraday gaps were halts. It was halting real bad here, and then finally at the end of the day, kind of ran. It's way ahead of itself, but you never know, right? We're day traders; anything can happen. So it's definitely going to be on watch all week. ACHR. I don't love this one, but they had an offering that 5 minutes into the session, I think they announced an offering on Friday. And so let's go to 5-minute candle so you can kind of see the action. So they're 5 minutes in, they announced an offering. It goes down, takes out the low of day, and then slowly works its way back up and takes out the high of day by the end of the day. So that action is pretty interesting. And I think the space that they're in is super interesting. I've been saying that for a couple of years now, though. But certainly could be in play next week. ONDS is a drone play and had a really nice little breakout on Friday, so let's keep that one on watch. IPHA, big move. It looked like they had a good headline. That's a massive move. You know, on some of these that have made these massive moves, I'd certainly like to see maybe a couple red days, Monday and Tuesday, and then there'll be beautiful setups for Wednesday for a bounce play. But again, maybe we get an A+ setup in some of these, even when they're extended. Rivian, RIVN. Had a nice run here and is kind of flagging and it's starting to curl back up. So that one I think is worth keeping an eye on. PLTR. AI play had this gap up here and sold off, but is already starting to curl back up, and AI plays are certainly worth keeping an eye on, right? UMAC had this crazy move, then comes down and then chopped sideways for about a week. And now it's starting to push up on volume out of that base. So that one could be in play all week. I also really like this serve chart, SCRV. Had a really nice run here, a couple days down to the 8-day and pretty close to, if not, a bullish engulfing there on Friday. That's kind of one of my favorite setups for next week. QUBT, it's just in the quantum computing space, and this one's actually kind of still sitting in that buy zone. It's not as extended as something like a QBTS, which I'm also going to watch. That one's up near recent highs, but it had a big day on Friday. So both of those are worth watching. GXAI, another AI play that really had a massive move. Now you got 3 days lower on declining volume. If the AI plays get some traction, this is a pretty handsome setup for a turn back up next week. And then GTLB had earnings gapped up to 73.50, and in 6 days time is all the way down in the 58 area. So that one just goes back on bounce watch. It's not catching any traction yet. Maybe it's ready to. This area right here was resistance and resistance here, support here. So it's come down to retest that area. Pretty good setup for a potential bounce. All right, that's it for me. Excuse me. I'll see you guys in chat in the pre-market on Monday. We'll add some gappers to this list. All right, have a great weekend, and I'll see you on Monday.